I can give SI training session a shout out to AlterEgo Marketing for helping us with some of the Canva templates and some of the training that we're going to be doing. Nick, you really need no introduction. I know we've got a few people on Zoom, and we'll also be recording this so we can send it out. But I know we've got a lot to cover today, so I kind of wanted to jump right in. If anyone has questions, feel free to post those in the chat. Byram and I will kind of monitor that a little bit. And I think Nick and Gabi are going to do a presentation today for us on Canva and how to brand your nonprofit. So we'll go ahead and get started.
So I also have with me Gabi. So Gabi is one of our digital strategists here at AlterEgo. She runs everything in the digital world for us. So that is all of the marketing and branding that you see on websites, on social media, on SEO, on ads, anything of that world. So I've asked her to join me today to kind of share. She's doing a screen share at some point towards the end here. And we're going to cover some basics of Canva and then really rolling out kind of how to brand your nonprofit. Gabi, is there anything you want to throw in on your introduction real quick?
Just hi, it's so nice meeting everybody, and I'm really happy to be a part of this and be able to help.
Beautiful. So when we get started here, what I want to start talking about just as an overarching piece of branding, and this is one of the things that works with both a personal brand, a nonprofit brand, a business brand, it doesn't matter. Your brand is not what you say it is. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that is so incredibly important to remember, is that you cannot control your brand. You can only guide it. Your job is to be consistent. Your job is to tell stories that people will remember, which we talked about in our last session. And so now we're going to be talking a little bit about the tactics, the nuts and bolts of exactly how you do that. So the nonprofit world and the business world and the personal branding world all kind of share a lot of similarities when it comes to branding, which is that people cannot know your brand if they don't know anything about it, if they have no awareness of you. So at a super high level, you have to have just some way to talk to your people, the people who are going to donate, the people who are going to volunteer in this case, the people who are going to be your board members, who are going to show up at your events, just support your cause and share your message. And they have to know you exist. So I know that sounds a little bit obvious, but this is one of the things that as I walk through the world, as somebody who sees the world through a marketing lens, that I get so frustrated about, because it feels like there are so many people doing so many amazing things that never stop to actually tell their story. So one of the things that we're going to be sharing and showing today is this Marketing 101 checklist. And actually, Gabi, if you have the ability, and Byram, I need your help so that Gabi can screen share here. I'm probably going to have her pop something up on the screen so that she can share as we kind of walk through this. We built this list, and it's literally just called the Marketing 101 checklist. And a lot of it just covers some really basic pieces of marketing and specifically branding, what it is, how it works, and just things you need to pay attention to. I'm going to guess that if I go down the list of everybody in the room today, that there is no one who feels appropriately staffed with the marketing professionals who are out telling your story so you can do the other things in your organization. Everybody needs more help than they have. Am I right? Somebody throw me a yes. Okay, great. So if you don't have enough time, one of the things that you can do is you can tactically build the pieces to be able to better tell that story almost automatically. And in our last session, we talked about, becoming the CSTO, the Chief Storytelling Officer, collecting those stories and deciding what mediums and platforms you're going to tell them on. But in order to do that well, you have to have certain assets already in place. And one of the things that I run into over and over again is that marketing and branding is just something that nobody has enough time for, especially in the nonprofit world. So who has your logo? What are your logo colors? What fonts are in your logo? Who has the good files of it, right? Guys, do we have the ability to screen share this through?
We do.
All right.
All right,
Beautiful.
can everyone see that?
I'm throwing up on here, or Gabi's actually kind enough to do this for me, is throwing up on here. We have this and we're going to provide everybody with a copy of it. But this is just an entire checklist that you can run through as a nonprofit organization or a business and think about, what of these things do you already have? What do you know? What's already in place? From a branding standpoint, you have to have a bunch of stuff in a cohesive, easy to find place. So Gabi, if you wouldn't mind going all the way up to the top, the place that I want to start with right here is just logo and identity. So when we started this, we said your brand isn't what you say it is. Your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. So in that elevator pitch, which is kind of what we started with last week, is you've got to start with why. Why do you do what you do? Why do people care? Can you succinctly give a problem plus solution statement that allows people to go, hey, that's a charity that I care about, and I'm really interested, I want to know more, right? Can we draw them in? But then if you're a nonprofit organization, one of the things you're going to run into over and over is somebody needs to make a flyer, create an event, make a post on social media. And I know I'm not the only one who goes like, do we have a copy of this logo? Do we have a copy of this logo in black and white? Do we have a copy of this logo in reverse in white? Do we have one with a transparent background? Do you guys all right now know where your good logo files are?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that makes me so happy. So having a consistent logo that you use over and over, a lot of times you have a version that's horizontal and a version that's vertical. You have a vector version, which means it's infinitely scalable.
So you're okay with me moving up that leadership lunch to 11 then?
Hi, Abby, I think we've got somebody unmuted. If you guys wouldn't mind throwing your
You're
stuff
off
on
the
mute, that'd be super helpful.
Well, I registered for training. I wish I would have known that.
Always Zoom fun, right? So
I don't know who's going to be here.
Files are so
You're
incredible.
out. Kendra's out.
I'm working on it, Nick.
Who else could we
No
put on the lead
worries.
for that? It's the clinic that morning.
All right. So making sure that you have those logo files is always step number one, because if you don't have a consistent logo, if you don't have a consistent color base, if you don't have consistent brand elements, people can't quickly identify you. And here's the thing that I always am so incredibly like try and impress upon people. If you're a local diner, right? Your customers don't know when you're open. They don't know what kind of food you serve. They don't know if you're going to be closed on Black Friday. They don't know if your menu has changed, right? Which means that if you put up a billboard, a lot of times you have to say, hey, we're at 101 East Main Street. You go down the street, you turn left on XYZ Street. We're open 10 to 2 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're open 3 to 6. And on every other Saturday, we have pumpkin pie, right? And that sounds really silly, but like, if you think about it, this is why McDonald's is so effective, is when you see a billboard for McDonald's, what does it say? What's on a billboard for McDonald's?
Turn here.
Wait, what was it?
Like turn here, exit now.
Turn here, exit now. 2 words. Is the word McDonald's even on that billboard?
No,
Logo.
No, it's just your little golden arches. That's it. That's it. And so when you look at these huge brands, you've got McDonald's, you've got Nike, you've got Under Armour, 90% of the time what you're going to see is right in the little corner, there's something that has their little icon, their little logo piece, but they don't have to tell you who they are or what they do, because they're so good at branding. And this is the thing that I get so passionate about when I talk to nonprofits or even small businesses, is if you tell a really clear, really succinct story to a really well-defined audience over and over and over consistently, what you will find time and time again is you have to spend less time and money on marketing, because you have to only tell them what's new. You don't have to reintroduce yourself. And a great brand will save you tons and tons and tons of time and money. So we have this checklist built out, and it really hits this logo identity. It really hits some of the like just business structure stuff, but it's because it's so important. If you don't do the fundamentals, you can't do the complicated stuff. So the things that we always tell people that they need to do is, the first thing you need to do is you need to have a great logo that is well built, that you have all of your logo files. It needs to be easily findable, and it needs to be shared everywhere. And that's so important because it's going to become a key part of this conversation today, because as we get into talking about taking a branded template and making it your own, if you don't have a good copy of your logo, if you don't know what colors and fonts and files you use to tell your story, and your brand is just kind of thrown out there, or you don't put it out at all, it's really hard to get other people to go tell your story for you, to share it and to care. So right now, I'm just going to run down this really quickly. Does your business have a logo? Do you have a vector file? So that is a .eps file typically. That file is infinitely scalable, can be made really big or really small without losing quality. So when a logo gets pixelated, that's usually because it's not a vector and it's not the right size. Do you know what your logo and brand fonts are? What font do you use consistently? And that may sound really silly if you're a small nonprofit, but think about this. What if I told you that you would never have to think about your logo, your phone number, your font, or your color again? Take the 30 minutes, figure out what your brand looks like, document it, and then do it the same way over and over and over for the next 10 years. And a lot of the initial conversations are like, I don't have time for that. I don't know how to do that. But if you make time for it and you do it once, and then you make sure that that file is shared, those brand standards are shared, anyone from your entire organization should be able to step into the role and look like you, talk like you, speak like you, and talk to your audience without your audience feeling like it's going 100 different directions. So locking that stuff down is super important. And some of this may be overkill for our very small charities, but it is so important to get the basics done right. So out of our call today, how many of you have good logo files? You know what fonts you typically use? You have your colors figured out? Does everybody know what RGB, CMYK, and hex even are? Yes, no, maybe? Yes, one hand, I like it. So RGB is the color of your brand. So let's say red. Your RGB color is the way your screen makes the color red. Your CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And those are the 4 colors that make up everything in print. So your CMYK is one version of red, and your RGB, which is made up of light, is a different color of red, but it's how you appear in both the digital and the traditional world. So just getting those down is really important, because then you don't have you guys ever seen, let's say like Saluki maroon in not the right color? Like it's not maroon anymore, right? It's not on brand. McKendree purple is actually a trademarked color, fun fact. So having these things down allows you to create assets really, really, really quickly. So moving down into collateral material here, brand basics. So I'm going to skip this because I feel like all of your nonprofits probably have this covered. And if you're a fund, then SICF is wonderful at helping you create what you need to cover those bases. But collateral material, business cards, rack cards, envelopes, thank you, professional branded things, email signatures, such a simple one, right? If you can get these pieces down, now, when you're talking to the community, you're making sure you're sharing your brand everywhere. When we talk about branding as an organization, the thing that we talk about more than anything else is just consistency. What do you want people to remember you for? What do you want people to do and take action on? So if you're sending out an email and you have an email signature that allows them to connect with you on social media because those little icons are in there and you can hit those connections, then you're making an opportunity to make every email you ever send out a marketing message. If you have a business card and you walk into an event and you meet somebody and you're handing out a business card, look, I understand that nonprofits don't a lot of times have a bunch of marketing dollars, but sometimes you can be handing out business cards that cost you 6 cents, 10 cents. That's the cheapest marketing you can do. And if you have a clear ask of what you want them to do to engage with you, that would be huge. Shema, you and I have talked a little bit about your organization and what matters to you. When you meet somebody who's never heard of your organization, what's something you want them to remember about you, and what's something they can do to help your organization?
I want them to know that we help underprivileged children around the world. And I might tell them a story of a girl named Mooney, who just lost her mom to COVID, and then a year later lost her father to a stroke when she was 10. And now has taken care of everything she needs at our orphanage, and I want them to remember that. I want them to know that. And what they can do to support more kids like this is to engage with us with a donation, with volunteering, and some sort of partnership.
And so, like, let's say you and I meet at a chamber event, or hypothetically, we would go to El Jalisco for lunch or something, and I'm very moved by this story, right? What's something I can do today, this week, to learn more, to make a difference? Do I connect with you on social media? Do I, immediately make a donation? Do I volunteer? What do you want the general public to know is the action step that follows meeting you, hearing that story, and being moved by it?
At first, I want them to join our email list.
Okay, and we're like, this is a beautiful first step, because that's a small ask, isn't it? If you meet Shema and you say, wow, that is a really moving story, that's really interesting, and she goes, great, can I have $50,000? The next thing you're like, whoa. Like, yes, it was a moving story. No, I'm not ready to cut that check yet. But if she says, like, hey, this is a really moving story and you can help, can I add you to my email list? Or, hey, if you'd like to hear more stories like this and how we help kids like this, you can join our email list. Here's how. It's such a small ask, but you invite them to be part of the conversation. And so with every nonprofit that's sitting in this room today, I would ask you to clarify your introduction, who you are and what story you're trying to tell, what you want them to remember when they walk away. And then what is the smallest ask you can make that would be very hard for them to say no to, right? Will you join my email list? Of course, add me to it. Would you, follow us on social media so we can share stories in the upcoming event so that maybe if you're interested, you could participate? Of course, I'll do that. That's something really easy. And then the next part is really important, is make that step impossibly easy for them. They need to be able to do that in as little effort and as little thought, as fast as possible. Invite them to do that. So, for example, on your email signature, if you say, follow us on social media, and there's a button I can click to follow you right there, that's a huge win for your organization. Then you can tell the deeper story. Then you can build the bridge to ask for the big donations or the volunteering hours or something like that. But you have to get them interested, and then you have to find a way to give them the opportunity to engage. So this is one of the pieces of branding that I think is probably most overlooked by nonprofit, is being able to quickly tell the story in a way that people can remember and feel like they can make a difference. So like, oh yeah, that's really great, but I can't, hey Shema, I really like you. That 10-year-old sounds amazing and what she's going through is terrible, but I can't go to where she is and help build the orphanage. I'm not available for that. And you're like, whoa, you don't have to. Join our email list and also show easy ways that you can help support her and people just like her all around the world all year long with a very small investment. That's a powerful story, but you have to be able to tell it, and you have to be constantly inviting people in. So when we're talking about branding, focusing on how do you quickly tell your story, what do you actually want them to remember, and how do you invite them to take action in the easiest, most effective, shortest way possible. So the next one comes into branding in the digital world. And again, this is something that I see over and over and over that nonprofits and small businesses really struggle with. So if you have not, I'm going to make a big ask of you today. By the time today is over, I want you to have Googled your organization. I want you to type into Google the name of your organization, and I want you to look at every single thing that comes up on the first page of Google. There should be 10 results. What's number 1? What's number 2? What's number 3? What's number 4? What's number 5? All the way down the list. I want you to look at them. I want you to identify if they are you or not. And if they are you, are whatever's on those links, like click on every one of them, are they the best foot forward? Are they branded? Do they have your information? Do they talk about what you're actually doing? Do they have your correct phone number, your contact information? Google is the most powerful search engine on the planet. And if Google doesn't know who you are, neither does anyone else. The amazing thing here is Google offers so many tools, so many opportunities for no cost marketing for nonprofits. And by marketing, I just mean your SEO, your findability, right? So if you look down that list on your top 10, and I'm not going to call anybody out here, but my guess is some of them are you, some of them aren't. Some of them are your Yelp listing or your Facebook page or a news article that was written about you in 1992. And it's really important to be aware that you can control the results of what shows up on page 1 of Google. And literally, like Gabi, this is what Gabi does for a living, right? Gabi helps clients claim those listings, make sure they show up. And Gabi, will you back me up on this, that most of the time what shows up on page 1 of Google is things that are waiting for our businesses or our nonprofits to just go in and fill in the information?
Yeah, there are, the Google My Business listing specifically. I think you guys would be amazed of how many businesses have it. It gets automatically created and they don't have any control over it because they haven't taken the time to look into it, Google themselves, and that can be claimed in a matter of clicks. And then you can add any correct phone numbers, hours, holiday hours, and just give people searching for you the absolute best information that they're looking for under your control.
And so if you haven't claimed your Google My Business listing and you don't have a working website, something where people can find information on you, what happens is it would be like if you boarded up all your windows and hung up closed signs and then wondered why no one shows up. The thing that we're like, seriously, we're working with companies that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing sometimes. And we go to their Google My Business listing and there's no photos. The phone number is wrong, the email address is wrong, the information is wrong. And this is stuff that can be done very quickly and can be done for free. So go through your Google My Business listing. Claiming it costs you nothing. You can usually claim it by a phone number or a postcard, or somebody else has already claimed it from your organization and you need to make sure you have access to it. The rule with Google My Business is nothing more than just fill out everything. Absolutely everything. You should leave nothing blank on your Google My Business listing. Absolutely nothing. It's going to ask you about your parking. It's going to ask if you're veteran owned. It's going to ask if you're an organization led by women. It's going to ask if you're wheelchair accessible, right? Every single one of these things should be filled in. Your hours should be filled in. The services you offer, the photos of your building should be filled in. And this is something that you should be able to do in 15 to 20 minutes, the first round. Same thing is true with an organizational page for, let's say, Facebook is really easy. You should probably have access to that, but you should make sure that the one that shows up is the one that you actually manage. A lot of nonprofits with locations have unclaimed Facebook pages that Facebook has just created on your behalf that have your address because somebody checked into it, but no one from your organization is managing that, which means oftentimes there's no website, there's no hours, there's no photos, there's the wrong phone number. And I think that what we see is even with businesses that care, this just gets overlooked because it doesn't feel important today. They go, I'll fix that later, and then they never do. So claiming your Google My Business account is one of the first things I would tell you to do. It is one of the most valuable pieces of marketing you will ever do that costs you $0. I don't want to spend too much time here, but I cannot emphasize enough that every single thing on page 1 of Google, when you search your name, and especially when you search your name with a qualifier, so like the Science Center, Carbondale, Illinois, if I'm searching for something that is obviously Connie's organization, and what I find is not Connie's organization, something is dramatically wrong. We have to fix this. So when you search for the Science Center, Carbondale, Illinois, you're going to get, Google, Facebook are the big ones that will show up. A lot of times Yelp, depending on the organization. A lot of times you'll see Yellow Pages. I do not advise to any of my clients that they pay for listings. So if you start filling something out and it's like, hey, sign up for our thing and it's $200 a year, absolutely not. Don't pay for anything in this world at all. But online, it's a matter of oil and water. So if you have a drop of oil in a thimble, it's a really big deal. If you have one drop of oil in the ocean, you don't even notice it. It's not about fixing everything that's wrong. It's about overwhelming everything with the right content. you should be able to fill in and populate enough things, enough photos, enough free listing profiles, enough social media accounts that when you search for your name, what comes up is you, unless you have a really generic name. And by you, I mean the Science Center, Carbondale, Illinois. I understand that sometimes if you have something like the Boys and Girls Club or something like that, if you generically type in Boys and Girls Club, you may get national stuff because there's national organizations that share the same name. But if you're searching for the name of your organization in your town, everything on page 1 of Google should be about you. Some of it may be things you can't control. So for example, if WSIU has done a story for you or WSIL has done a story about you, that story may appear. And again, same thing, oil and water. Just because they did one story that was maybe not the most flattering story and maybe doesn't tell your story the best, doesn't mean that the world is over. It just means you need to create opportunities to earn more media so that they can tell more stories. So the ones that are on top are relevant and recent. That becomes important. One last thing I want to say here on local listings, Google reviews. Google reviews and Facebook reviews are incredibly important. And there is a rule with Google and Facebook reviews that I beat home over and over and over. This is true of businesses, and this is especially true of nonprofits. If you're not getting reviews from the people in your immediate circle, every one of your board members should have written a review for your organization authentically. Hey, I've served on the board of the Carbondale Science Center for the last 8 years. I love this organization. I absolutely think that everyone should come to the Science Center. That is an authentic review. That is not me pretending to be someone else. If Gabi writes a review of AlterEgo, she says, I've worked for this company for 2 years and the dude who owns the company is absolutely crazy, but I love it here. That's an authentic review. I don't want a fake review, but you should be getting reviews from your employees, from your volunteers, from your donors. Those are things worth getting. Populate those. When I talked about relevancy and recency, those are the 2 rules with reviews as well. You want them to be relevant and you want them to be recent. You want to have a good rating. You don't need a 5-star perfect review. If you have a 4.9 or 4.7, that's perfectly fine. But you want regular reviews. So if you haven't had a review in 3 years, even if you have a 5-star rating, you need reviews because that's what tells Google this listing is still live and that it needs to be moved to the top of the food chain. So that's super important. Gabi, will you pull up to number 1 on the right-hand side of this page so we can see it? I'm not going to spend a ton of time here because I know that with the nonprofits in the room today and the nonprofits we're talking to, there's a huge variance of websites, right? Some of you have fully managed websites nationally. Some of you are hodgepodging it together. Doesn't matter. My only request is you should own a domain. So www.thecarbondalesciencecenter.com, whatever it is. And if nothing else, that should redirect to your Facebook page. Even if you don't have a website, or even if you don't have a built out website or something fancy, it should go to something that has information about you and it should be easy to find. Buy a domain, it costs $20 a year. If you need help, we'll be happy to help you. If you have a website, you need to make sure it's working and you need to make sure that it's relevant and up to date. If your website has a blog feature and the last blog was written in 2013, please go look at your website and make sure that it's up to date. Because if the content of your website doesn't match your branding, if it doesn't match your current mission, if it doesn't tell your story, then what happens is people don't trust anything else on your website at all. So taking the time to do that as part of your overall brand is incredibly important. So going back to this, right? We're talking about starting with why. We're talking about having brands and logos and fonts and colors all together. We're talking about covering the basics, making sure that you have some promotional materials so that you can explain who you are when you connect with people. We're talking about how you turn that into your digital presence, claiming your online listings, and then making sure you have a website. All of this comes together in a really key way because when you have these pieces together, it makes it really easy for people to find you and get to know you. And the thing is, that's what builds trust. And trust is what makes a brand valuable. If people don't trust the story you're telling with your brand has no value. If people don't know what your brand is or what you do, then nothing else you do matters because they have to be able to find you and interact or you're wasting your breath. So I know I went through a bunch really, really quickly here. I just want to make sure that nobody has any questions of key things before I move on, because I'm going to move through pretty quickly through the back half of this, because we're sending this out and I'm going to create opportunities for Q&A, and we're going to talk about Canva and sort of deploying this here in just a moment. Does anybody have any questions before I move on?
I don't think so.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Okay. Yes.
you're giving us, you're gonna send the checklist out later, right?
Yes. I'll, Byron, I'm going to make sure you have that by the end of this meeting and we can send it all out. But I'll have copies of this for everybody. You're welcome to it. And if you have any questions about this, I'd be happy to talk through it with anyone who's struggling. So go ahead and jump to page 2, Gabi, if you wouldn't mind. So this is one of the things that I'm going to hit fairly quickly, because we're going to kind of focus this. One piece of advice that I have that is a little bit hard to follow is that your organization should have claimed every social media profile that you can get your hands on. You should have a Facebook, you should have an Instagram, you should have a Twitter, you should have a Pinterest, you should have a TikTok, I'll say that twice. You should have all of those at least claimed. If you're not creating content, if TikTok is not your jam, that is totally fine. I recommend setting up just a spreadsheet on your computer, going through each one of these accounts, setting up an account, putting in your logo, your name, address, phone number. Gabby's going to love, I just said NAP. So NAP is name, address, and phone number. That is what Google and every other search engine on the planet uses to verify that their information is correct. They're scanning every website looking for your organization's name, address, and phone number. And the more consistent those things are, the more the search engines believe you are who you say you are. So I'm going to talk really quickly about signal to noise. If Google looks at 100 websites and 50 of them have your phone number correct, I got a message in chat real quick. Oh, hi. Hey, Patricia. So if Google looks at your 100 websites, right? And on them, 50 of them have your phone number listed one way, 50 of them have another phone number. Half of them have, we're at 508 South Park, S-O-U-T-H, and then half of them have 508 S period Park. And then you've got, let's see, your website slightly different on several of them, right? What Google goes is they lose confidence. So that signal is unclear, right? So when you're putting your name, address, phone number out on the internet anywhere, you should have a 100% airtight, locked in standard of how you write it. Is your address 508 South S-O-U-T-H Park Avenue? Or is it 508 S period Park Avenue, AVE, or Avenue spelled out? I don't know, and it doesn't matter, but you should pick a standard and you should put it the same way every time. Because when Google goes out and all of the things say exactly the right thing, the signal is perfectly clear, Google elevates that ranking, and so does everything else. Google's job is to most effectively answer the searcher's question. And if the question is, what are the Science Center's hours? And they look across 5 mediums and they're all different, Google goes, we're not sure, here's our best guess. If they look across and they say, these are the hours, Google goes, here's the hours, and it makes it really easy to find. And so in a competitive industry, in let's say the for-profit world, if you're a plumber and your information's unclear, Google's going to suggest the next person on the list. And so the same thing goes with nonprofits. If they're looking for your information and it's not clear, it's not up to date, nobody's managing it, Google's going to down or suppress your listings, and your information is harder to find. It is so incredibly important. Go claim all these, open a spreadsheet, put in a username, put your secret password in or create a password thing, fill out your name, address, phone number, put in your logo and a link to whatever you are filling out. So let's say you create a Twitter account and you have no interest in tweeting. Create it, claim it, lock it down so it's yours. No one else can take it. And then say in your bio, we're the Science Center, we do X, Y, and Z. For more information, check us out at thesciencecenter.com. And that way, if somebody finds you on Twitter and you're not posting content, now they know where to go find your content. So what you're doing is you're casting all these little nets where people can find you and you're rerouting them to the content that actually matters. So that's the only thing I want to say really on tying on this page is On the social media side, you should have claimed all your listings, and you should at least have filled out your basic information on as many of them as possible, because it will make you rank higher on social media. It will make your information more consistent. And if nothing else, at least you have them so no one else can claim them on your behalf. We're not going to spend any time on media and advertising, but I do want to talk about the community organizations, like getting involved. This is super important. Networking is so important to branding. You getting out and introducing yourself, telling your story powerfully, giving someone an easy way to say like, hey, Shama's really nice. I really think her organization's cool. I'd like to learn more about it. How do I do that? Great, here you go. We're going to open this door over and over and over. And if you can put a business card in my hand and I can go and find you on TikTok and whatever it is, and that's how I find more information about you, great. You're opening doors that were previously closed. That's how you grow your organization. One thing that Gabi just pulled up down here is the email marketing. I can't emphasize this enough. If your organization is not collecting customer data, it should be. You should have a list of your people, your emails for those people, and even if you don't ever use them, right? It is a treasure trove for a marketing guy like me to walk in and find out that the Science Center has every email for every person who's ever been in the Science Center. That data is wildly valuable. If you're like most organization, you're like, ooh, crap, we don't have that, or we have paper versions of that, or we ask everyone, but our salespeople just, or our volunteer just skip that field. Start getting email addresses. Start getting email addresses. They're insanely valuable. Obviously, this list is built for organizations of all types, nonprofits and for-profit businesses. So we talk about loyalty and referral programs. We talk about, being involved in chamber events and things like that. This is really important kind of across the board of like, you need to build a way for the people who love your organization the most to talk about and share it. So I want to switch gears really quickly, and I want to jump into Canva and some of the stuff that we're working on. So if you guys don't already know, there is a social media guidebook that was created by AlterEgo, working with SICF, building out some content. And I want to switch gears and talk just a little bit about Canva. Before I do, Michelle, could I ask you to share just a little information, because I think that you're probably the expert in the room on this. Canva is available for free to nonprofits. Will you spend a minute or two just kind of giving everybody a quick up-to-date? I know it's in the email that went out today, but will you just hit that point home for me? Because I think it's so important.
Yeah, so with any nonprofit organization, you usually have a variety of different things that you can have access to for free. Canva is one of those. So if you are a 501c3 nonprofit, you can apply to Canva's nonprofit program. And what that does is, so if you have a free account with Canva, you know how we talked, you can access certain templates and graphics and things like that. The difference with it is if you are a nonprofit, you can actually get the premium version of Canva for free. So what you normally might be paying $13 for, you can actually have that for free. And what that does is it opens up every template, every graphic, everything that you would get or could have access to on Canva for free. It's a very easy process, and it's one of many things that nonprofits have access to at a reduced or no cost to their organization. So because Canva's user-friendly and designed for people to be able to use who aren't necessarily Nick or Gabi, it's for the Michelles of the world, we can have access to that. All of the features on the nonprofit section for that are absolutely free. So not only does it save you some money, but it also gives you access to all of Canva.
Yes. So I want to expand on a couple things that Canva is great for, and we're actually going to talk about this. So first of all, Nick and Gabi absolutely love Canva because Canva is something that is made for somebody who does not have a graphic design degree. We have designers on staff that do really amazing things and build custom art, custom logos, custom things. That's wonderful. But if you need something done in a pinch, if you need something done quickly, or you're not a graphic designer, Canva is such a fantastic way to do that. Cami asked if this would also be emailed out today. So I know the link for the nonprofit piece for Canva. I know that was sent out in the invitation here. So there's a link that you can follow to get to that. If not, it's very easy to find. So if you search for Canva for free for nonprofits, you can quickly find some great links that will walk you through how to do that. There you go. So it'll take you to a page like this. All you have to do is go through apply. And I think all you have to do is prove that you're a 501c3 nonprofit, and you can sign up and have an organization. So this is really powerful. Canva is such a powerful tool, and it has so many things pre-built for you. Myself, Gabi, Jacqueline, who's our designer, Michelle and Byram are all working on some things that are going to be rolled out very shortly here. Some templates, some guides, some pieces that will make some of this process really easy for you, that already has some sort of customized pieces built in. But Canva has a ton already available for you. So when you look at Canva, and I'm going to show you a couple examples here, Gabi is actually, when you look at Canva, Canva has some pretty easy pieces that you could do. Gabi, will you just pull up one and kind of walk through, an example of a really simple post? We're going to use one of our generic donate today posts, right? So something like this, and look, Connie, we used your logo.
Yes, I see that.
Stole it off your website.
That's okay.
A template like this would come without the Science Center logo attached to it. It would just have a blank area, but Canva has the ability for you to drop in a logo, any logo you want. It has ability for you to take the background out of a logo. And the thing I can't emphasize strongly enough is there are walkthrough guides on how to do absolutely everything on Canva. They are free and they are everywhere. We're going to be making a couple that are specifically for GiveSI and showing how to edit some of the posts that we're going to be kind of providing as templates and examples. But when I look at a post like this, and Gabi, I'm going to let you kind of share just some of the simple interface tools of Canva. But when I look at a post like this, what people tend to try and do is they try and do way too much heavy lifting in the design area when they're not a designer. If you're creating a post for Giving Tuesday, this one, for instance, says, GiveSI, donate today, the Science Center. This doesn't have all the links. It doesn't have 10 paragraphs about Giving Tuesday, when it is, anything like that. But what you have to remember is there's two components to every social media post. There's the post itself and the text-based content. And the text-based content is where you're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Michelle or Byram, can you clarify, today they have, or they will be getting very soon, their bit.ly links. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So Byram, do you and Michelle want to hit really quickly for anybody who doesn't know, what is the bit.ly link? What is it for? What does it do?
Yeah, so real quick, if you have not participated in GiveSI before, one of the key components is that when you work really hard to promote your organization, we want to make sure that a donation that comes in because you promoted it goes to you. So that's the idea behind the bit.ly link, is we want to give each nonprofit their own custom link. What that custom link does is when you share that out on your socials, that allows someone who is a potential donor to go directly to your donation page first, before they go to any other organization, before they can choose any other organization. You know, we've talked about the fact that we have this shopping cart kind of style that you can donate to multiple organizations. But here's the thing, if you're spending the time and energy to get that donor, we want you to get the biggest part of that donation. And so those custom links allow you to do that. Anybody can go on to givesi.org and donate. But if you're sharing socials with them and you're providing that information, you're going to get that first page when it comes up is going to be just for your organization, and they can choose to make that donation, that first donation right there. The other thing, Nick and Gabi, one of the things that I think nonprofits have trouble with is sometimes they have a colored background or a white background, and they design their logo to have a color behind it. When you put that on Canva, if you have a blue background, but your logo has a white background, then those are the ones you see that have a little box around it, and you're like, oh. So Nick, is it something you could show real quick, how to remove the background on that logo so that they can post it on any color and it still just shows the logo, not that kind of white background?
It is, but it's going to be take a couple jumping through hoops. So what I think I would rather do is I'd rather have us create a video that literally walks through exactly how to do that, because I think that it's really hard to take notes on something like this, and we're just not set up to do that really efficiently right now. But the process is incredibly simple. Canva has a tool that allows you to pull up your logo, click a button, drop out the background, and immediately be able to put it on something like this. So for example, this Science Center had a white background. we dropped it in Canva, we hit remove background, and we put it on the brown background. It works very, very easily. And if that's something your organization struggles with, that's something that can be done through this system. More importantly, at the beginning, we talked about logo and branding. So a transparent PNG is the type of logo that doesn't have a background. If this is something that you're going to do, I would recommend, and you can use Canva to do this, creating a transparent PNG version of your logo, saving it so that you don't have to do it every time. Because let's say the background of this slide was red or gray. If I drop out the background and I drop the Science Center's logo on there, the word science is instantaneously just gone, right? And so that's so important. If you have versions of your logo in black and white, so a black version of your logo, a white version of your logo, and a version in color that are transparent PNGs, that's what they're called, then you can put it on any surface ever really easily. So Gabi, I think that you have a couple things that you were going to show just of ways to make edits. And then Michelle, what we'll do is we'll make that walkthrough video. It'll be a 5-minute video. It's incredibly simple. I can have that ready for you today. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, so just kind of jumping right in, it is super duper user friendly, as Michelle said. Here we can just kind of click on the main element, and we can go in and add any different color background. We see here that there's a text box. You can just double click like you would a Word document, change out your text. Icons. With the Canva Pro, you have access to tons and tons of different elements that you can change out. And as for the logo, like you said, we can make that video and just kind of trade out your logo, make these templates yours, make them look like your organization, and say exactly what you want them to say.
And I want to add on one thing on that. Simple is always better. Clean and simple things draw the eye. There's a lot of white space in this, and I use white space, it doesn't matter what color it is. Blank space in the design. Blank space makes you read the content. If you put 3 paragraphs of text into a post, nobody's reading it. The less you put in the post, this part of the post, the better, because all this part of the post is designed to do is grab your attention and tell you what the post is about. The goal is to get you to read the next piece. In that section is where you want to do your heavy lifting. That's where your link is going to go. That's where your information is going to go. That's where your story is going to go. That's so important. Keep it simple.
Nick and Gabi, I just have one quick question now that you say that. So some of the stickers and graphics that have movements, are those advised to use when you're doing things like a Facebook post or putting this on socials? Should you try to use some of those movement things or stay away from those, or what's your?
I'm gonna take this one if unless Gabi wants to jump in on it. But my advice to you is start simple and do what you're comfortable with. Right, the big flashy stuff is wonderful. With Facebook now, you can create posts that are GIFs. You can create posts that are videos. You can create lots of different fancy movement and content. But the thing is, if you're not good at Canva, if you're not a designer, if you're not a creative, and it's not built there, so it's really easy for you to do. My suggestion is don't spend your time trying to figure out how to do that. Spend your time trying to figure out how to generate more content more often. Between now and Giving Tuesday, again, if I was a nonprofit, my piece of advice to you would be to put out as much content as you are comfortable with as often as you can. 3 to 5 posts a week is what I'm going to be recommending. But if you can make a post every single day that doesn't take you a ton of time, please do it. There used to be this theory that you don't want to post too much or you don't want to clutter people's feeds. People's attention spans are incredibly short. So the thing is, if you have something important to say and you can tell an important story, create a post about it. I think that diverse content works really well. So creating posts that look like this are great. If you're comfortable with it, you should be creating video content as often as you can. Hey, this is Nick from the Science Center. We want to invite you to come and participate in our big Give Us I event. Click the link below. This is our bit.ly link, and this is how you can make a donation to us. We appreciate and love your support. Thanks so much. That's something so incredibly short. that can be a great video. Connie, you have a beautiful science center. Where I want to see the video that's like, hey, this is Connie with the Science Center. Leading up to Giving Tuesday, we want to show you the Science Center and how cool it is. I'm going to give you a quick tour. 60 seconds or less, really, really quick content, multiple clips if you can. That content is incredibly valuable. So if you're not a designer, you're not a developer, you're not somebody who's really comfortable in this space, I wouldn't waste my time trying to do movement. I would create video instead, because everyone can create video. Michelle, how do you feel about that? Do you recommend movement? I know you do a lot of social media as well.
No, I use movement very little, because you're right. It can be a good effect, but there's usually things that you can use and access that are going to have more of an impact.
Yeah. And again, I think that it really depends on the comfort level of who's creating it. Don't waste a ton of time here on social media trying to create the perfect post. Create a good post and create more of them. So, Gabi, I think that you had an example of sort of a quote where you could switch out some elements. I think that would be really helpful to show.
Yeah.
So we built this. Look at that handsome gentleman. We built this. So this is a quote that was made for me. This features me and a quote that I said. So Gabi can quickly change this to be a quote with a photo of her that is about her. And I think she's just going to do a quick demo of how easy it is to change these elements out.
Yes. So, for example, I would get to this template, I would go to edit it. And so I can super easily just drag and drop elements into the upload file here. And then I believe I can just change them out with the existing photo. And if not, I can always put it over it.
Nothing like a live demonstration, right?
Oh yeah. This element, obviously, as it's covering, you can change positions. So I'm just going to bring that forward. There we go. And here I can edit out, change my quote. I can change the color of this to, let's just make it pink. And then again, simple as double clicking and adding any text that you want.
All right, you guys saw that, right? That's plagiarism. She stole my quote. So Canva is incredibly great for things like this, because you can take something that you like, something that fits, you can swap out elements very quickly, save this down to your computer, or share it directly from Canva. And the thing that I can't emphasize enough is there are just so many templates and tools. Gabi, would you mind just showing a couple of what's available in Canva as a default, even if you're not using pre-made templates that are designed for SICF?
Yeah, so just kind of the template gallery as a whole. I mean, search your content on Canva. There's a whole template library here, and that's just the homepage of Canva. Super easy to
social media for
find.
me.
Yeah. So you can do Instagram posts, Facebook posts, TikTok videos. They can help you edit video, just as an Instagram post, for example. And then, I mean, look, so many different options to be able to just easily click, change out photos, change out elements that are super user-friendly, and you can make them your own.
Before you move on the top left of your screen right now, if you scroll just a little bit, there's this Did You Know post. These are the type of posts that I absolutely love, right? If you take this post and you make that circle your color and it says, Did you know the Science Center has been open in Carbondale for the last X number of years? Did you know that the Science Center is the only science center within this radius of Carbondale, Illinois? Did you know, fun fact about our organization? And then in the body text, you can say, that's why it's so important to support our organization, to make sure that we can keep doing what we do. Here's our link. Make sure you add this to mark your calendars for Giving Tuesday. We use a system, and this is in the social media guidebook that we created, called the 5 pillars of content. And the 5 pillars of content are really great, just based on this idea of, instead of sitting down and go, what am I going to write today? You say, what are we going to talk about that links back to our core values? And so a lot of times we'll talk about, the history of the organization, the impact of the organization, things that are current events, things that we're doing in the community. And then tying any one of these posts to getting to know your organization, what you do, why it's important, and then how they can help. So at the beginning of this, we talked about this really simple equation of, here's a story I want you to remember me by, here's a way that you can help. The way that you can help right now for almost anything you create is mark your calendars for Giving Tuesday. It's November 29th, and you can show your support for this great organization and help us get access to the matching funds that are available. Your dollar goes further on Giving Tuesday. These are the kind of posts that I cannot encourage enough for organizations to be making right now, because if somebody kind of knows who you are, like I know the Science Center's around, I know it's pretty cool, but I haven't been there in a while. Are they still open? Are they still doing good things? Do kids still like Science Centers? And Connie's like, yes, we're still here. We do lots of cool things. Kids love the Science Center, but we need your support. It's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. When you're the nonprofit organization, you know what your organization does. You know how much good you do. You know how much you help. But if you don't take the time to share those stories, that other people can't join in and participate. And if you assume they know what you do, I'm telling you right now, you're flat wrong. You're absolutely wrong. It does not matter how obvious you think your charity is. It doesn't matter how good you do at promotion. I mean, some of the biggest charities in Southern Illinois, if you look at the Red Cross, or you look at the Boys and Girls Club, you look at these great charities that are doing wonderful things. The SIH Foundation, right? You have all these charities that have organizations, staff, and money. Most people in the population don't know what they actually do day to day. So telling that story is important. Gabi, what else would you like to highlight? I didn't mean to commandeer that, but I got on my soapbox.
That's okay. I think the only thing I can think of is just kind of, how to log in. And again, through the links that Michelle had talked about on getting it for free as a nonprofit, that gives you also access to a ton of these pro accounts. Those are a little bit, sometimes they're a little bit fancier, so you can really, really have a lot of fun with Canva, uploading all of your photos, making them backgrounds, and then Canva itself has a ton of video tutorials, and we're going to be going through and making some of those, so you can really make these templates your own and truly share the story of your organization.
So real quick before we run out of time here, I think that there are 3 or 4 templates that we have kind of pulled up, that we've got a version that we created, and then we used examples here. Simple post, the countdown. So example, will you actually pull up and use this template? So here's a template that says there's 4 days till Giving Tuesday. So somebody tell me how many days it is till November 29th. It's very easy to click in this template, make this say it is 25 days. How many days is it, Michelle?
25.
Is it really?
Yes.
I wasn't sure. I was trying to do the math in my head. But so it's 25 days till Giving Tuesday. Creating at least 1 or 2 of these posts a week that say, this is the countdown to Giving Tuesday. Make sure it's on your calendars. Please put it in your calendars. Click the link below to make sure that you know how to donate on Giving Tuesday. What is your organization doing on Giving Tuesday? One of the most powerful posts you can make is talking about your need, right? Your need and your impact. What are you doing? And then what are you going to do with the money? If somebody cuts you a check for $10 or $50 or $500 or $5,000, what that money is going to go to, who's it going to help? What larger mission is it going towards? That's so powerful. Telling that story of the young lady, who's lost her parents and she needs and deserves our help. Here's how you can help. That's so powerful, because when you do that, oh, did I lose you guys? Oh, there we go. Sorry, my screen switched here, and I thought I lost you. But so when you have the ability to tell those stories and you put that story out over and over and over, it becomes something that gets people to go, hey, that's top of mind. That Giving Tuesdays, that's coming up. I should make a plan. I should donate. Around the holidays, people want to give very often, but they don't always think of you. Make sure they know you exist. Michelle, I know we're going to run out of time. I want to be really respectful. We're right at an hour on the dot, I think. What else can I cover? And then I want to go ahead and stick around for Q&A.
Yeah, so one of the things I just want to highlight real quick is now that we've gone over this idea of nonprofit branding, we are ready to release a few things to you. And so Nick, can you go over what we're going to be giving to the nonprofits, including the toolkit and that has the content calendar, and then the links to all of the templates that they're going to have access to. And then of course we will edit this video quickly and try to get that out as soon as possible to everyone. And then if you were there last week, I hear the internet dropped out, so there may or may not be a video from last week. I would just say, if you were able to attend, that was fantastic. I hear it was great. We're going to try to put some stuff together from that, but you should be receiving a lot of materials now that we've covered the branding portion of the training. But Nick, if you could just highlight those, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, so Gabby, since you have your screen share, would you go ahead and pull up givesi.org/toolkit? So this is available to absolutely anyone. If you go to givesi.org/toolkit, basically you drop your email in here and it will take you to a link where you can download this toolkit. It's completely free. I think it's 27 to 30 pages long. It kind of runs through some of the key points of some of the branding pieces. We're also going to make that, that marketing and branding checklist available. If you'd like a copy of that, we'll have that out to you today as well. With this toolkit, basically this will walk you through the system that we use, which is 5 pillars of content. So we really focus on telling your story through 5 different main pieces of pillars of content. And we kind of give an example of the Southern Illinois Community Foundation's ones that would work really well for them. The reason we do that is because it makes it really easy to sit down and create a piece of content. If you're going to create a Facebook post and you sit down in front of your computer, I do this all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm going to create a Facebook post. Crap, I don't know what to write. With the pillars of content system, what this does is basically you have 5 pillars of content, you pick one pillar, and there's examples underneath that pillar of content you've created in the past. So today we're going to pick the pillar of content called impact, and we're going to talk about something that was impactful. One thing that we do to impact lives is we build orphanages. And here is an example of that, an orphanage that got built within the last year. Here's what we did. Here's what the plan was. Here's where the need was. Here's pictures of the orphanage. And now here's pictures of the kids that now have access to this thing. This is how we do our impact. If you'd like to support us on this mission, you can support us on Giving Tuesday. Here's the link below. Do you see how easy that becomes to create? So this book, and Gabi, I don't know if you can pull up a copy of this so we can scroll through it really quickly. And again, I don't want to run out of time here, but we're going to run through just a really quick overview of this. If you'll bear with us for just 1 second while we get that book pulled up.
Yep.
The book kind of walks you through how to create a voice for your organization on social media. Your social media organization, if you will, should have its own voice and its own brand, which means that anyone from your organization should be able to post on behalf of the Science Center and still sound like the Science Center. You don't want to seem like you're schizophrenic and have like 9 different personalities depending on who's posting today. That's not effective branding. What is effective is creating a voice that when you talk on behalf of the Science Center is fun, it's engaging, it's talking to kids, not down to kids. It's speaking at a 5th grade level. So whether it's a kid or an adult reading, they still feel like the post is talking to them. We don't use these big jargony terms that kids don't understand. We can create and define that voice. And once we've done that, it becomes possible for 5 different people to create content on one social media account and sound like the same organization. So kind of going through really quickly, we hit the highlights here. And Gabi, I'm just going to have you buzz kind of quick through this. This highlights what's in here. It talks about the day of giving. I think all of you have access to that information. It shows Byram's beautiful face. It talks a little bit about social media 101. So again, what to post, when to post, how to create a tone, how to kind of define your audience, how to create clear goals. It talks about the social media platforms and what works best for them. Now, one great thing here is before we move on, we've got things that say like, how big the image size is, how big the posts are. Canva does that for you. So if you go to Canva and you click on social media, you can go and pick something that is an Instagram post or a Facebook post, and it will automatically make the element that you're designing the correct size for that. This is something that organizations have struggled with basically as long as we've been working with them. It's like, I don't know what size it's supposed to be. I don't know how to create something that's 1080px by 1080px. I don't know what that means. You don't have to. Go to Canva and it will do it for you. I cannot encourage enough to create video content. Video content is engaging, and it's something that will drive people to get to know your organization and feel part of it. So share that story through video if you can. Every social media platform, every one of them now supports vertical video. You should be creating content there if you're comfortable. All right, so as you kind of go down here, bear with me here. As you kind of go down here, we talk about the different pieces of information for each one of the different social media platforms, what's powerful there, why they're still relevant and important, and some facts about them that will be helpful. We talk about how to create your voice. This is an example of the Miss Illinois organization and how they do it. This is what we're talking about is, your organization should sound a certain way on social media. And if you can just take 10 minutes and define what that is, get everybody who touches your social media to agree that the Science Center obviously isn't going to make a post that has somebody smoking a cigarette in it, right? That doesn't fit our brand. That's not who we are. Our voice is scientific. It is playful. It is fun. It loves dinosaurs. It can be anything. There are no rules here, but write them down. So if 3 people manage your social media account, all of them sound the same. This is an example of our 5 pillars of content. This is a system that we use for every client we work with, handling social media. These are 5 clear pillars of content. So history, mission, values, purpose, and impact, board and community, and current events is what we've chosen for SICF as a guideline to how to create posts. And then on the right-hand side of this screen there, you see how we've created a couple examples of what those could look like actually getting created. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I would highly advise you to just take some time and test this out. Once you set this, you don't have to never change it again. But man, if you could sit down and write a post and in 10 minutes, you could already know what you're going to post about, it'll save you so much time. So we have a social media calendar built in here. And then the other thing that we have in here, so these are examples of posts that you can make. And Michelle and I are actually working on some new pieces of content for that as well. So we'll have some things out to you in the next couple days, definitely by Monday. There'll be a couple templates that go out right now, and then a couple more that we'll be continuing to expand on as we go forward. The tactics to build, this is something that is a super easy kind of mind shift. Ask people to engage with your content. Hey, this is the Science Center. Please share below your favorite memory of coming to the Science Center when you were a kid. Tell us what you'd like to see in our Science Center. Engagement, good or bad, even if somebody says like, I don't like the Science Center, well, that's fine. It's not for everyone. That's okay. But even if somebody engages in your content in not a great way, remember what you're trying to do is drive engagement in critical conversations. If somebody says, mean, hateful things, block them instantaneously. No exception. But having discussions, creating community engagement is what gets posts to go viral. Viral posts don't happen. They don't explode and get seen by thousands of people because lots of people just see them and don't interact. They get spread because people are liking, commenting, and sharing them. So ask people to like, comment, and share this. Ask people to tag a friend in a post. Do a giveaway. Ask a question. Invite the audience to interact with your post in some way, and it will dramatically increase your engagement. Lots of times, people, and this sounds stupid, but people don't know you're talking to them. So you say, what's your favorite memory of the Science Center? Not enough. What's your favorite memory of the Science Center? Drop your comment below and share your favorite story. I need to specifically invite you to engage with the post because the average person won't engage with a post unless they're invited. So really easy trick, but it absolutely works. And then, we've got 2 more sessions left. So we'll have a session on November 10th. We'll be talking about that digital presence, and we'll dive deep into some of the key things that you can do, both social media, Google My Business, local listings, things like that. Easy things that any nonprofit could and should be doing. And then on the 17th, we're really going to be pushing hard on how do you ask people to come support you on Giving Tuesday? How do you make that ask? How do you deliver it? How do you do it in a meaningful way? Michelle, is there anything else you'd like me to cover?
I don't think so. I think that's good.
Okay, so I'm officially going to call us wrapped up, guys. Thank you so much for your time today. If anybody still has a question or anybody would like to ask a question one-on-one, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that Michelle shares my information. I would be more than happy to help if you get stuck on anything. Michelle and Byram are wonderful resources here as well. Guys, this is an amazing thing that they're doing with GiveSI. I'd like to see this thing just completely grow. I don't know what our goal date is to do our first $1 million at GiveSI, but it can't be too many years from now.
I agree.